to Discovering Star Trek. It's Entertainment Talks podcast for Star Trek Discovery on CBS and Netflix. I'm your host Matthew, and this is for Season 3, Episode 1, That Hope Is You, Part 1, although the next episode isn't called Part 2. That's called something else, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Season 3 premiere, Star Trek's back. Pretty sure it's been off for about a year and a half or so. Of course, we've had Picard and we've had Lower Decks, which still doesn't have a UK home, but that's beside the point. I thought this was a good start. Pretty good episode. Not incredible, not terrible. Pretty good. Above average, kind of good. I think that they've set the stage here for what they're going to do. Hopefully not for the whole season, because I'm getting some early season 2 vibes from this, in that, okay, now by the end of the episode we're looking for the Discovery so that Michael can return to it and see, all of her friends and whatnot, and go back to the ship. If we remember this point in last season, we were looking for Spock, and that took 6 episodes. I think it took about 6 or 7 episodes out of a 16 episode season, something like. It took around about just under half, or just under around half the season. I don't want them to do that again for this season in terms of looking for the Discovery. I think if they find the Discovery by the end of either next episode or latest by the end of the 3rd episode, I think that's alright. And then you've got 10 episodes left, because this is a 13 episode season. But yeah, I just kind of don't want that for the rest of the season. Now, pacing wise with everything else, I thought this episode was fairly good. Little bit of a bottle episode in a way, but one of the better bottle episodes that I've seen. Bottle episodes are difficult to do sometimes because you are focusing on either one location or one character doing something. Because we're in way more than one location here. We go to some different cliffs and whatever. We go to this other place, and then we end up in this other ship or whatever that this guy's at. He's been looking for other ships as well. But I thought the pacing was fairly good. I thought the introduction of, I think his name is James Brooks, because at one point he makes a James Bond kind of joke reference or whatever. He says James Brooks, which is a little nod and reference to Bond, James Bond, of course. I think he's kind of an interesting character. His cat looks kind of nice and kind of cool. We'll see. Maybe the cat will be like the one from Captain Marvel, and it'll have, I can't remember what that cat had, but it wasn't normal. But maybe the cat will add up to being something more. Maybe it will just be, I don't think the cat's going to be like a Baby Yoda type of situation, but it's going to be an interesting little addition to the show. We'll see how involved the cat kind of gets, I suppose, but it's a good little addition, and it kind of adds to the, I'll just call him Brooks, I guess. It adds to his character because we really don't know much about him yet. Action in this episode, I thought the action was quite good. And yeah, again this morning I'm seeing, because I was looking at some feedback and stuff from this episode, a lot of people just disappointed of like, okay, this has got too much action, it's turning into Star Wars. I actually quite like that, and I know that I'm different in that regard, and that I kind of look at Star Trek in a bit of a different light. I understand the differences between the two. Star Wars is much more action based, and Star Trek is much more sort of exploration based. You land on a mysterious planet, you explore it, you encounter enemies or friends, and you kind of go from there. So yeah, we'll see how that works out throughout the season, but I thought the action itself was pretty good. We're introduced to this, what I can only describe as this big sort of snake type of, I don't know what that was, but that was quite cool. So I thought that was really good. And yeah, just sort of half establishing that, okay, Michael's several years in the future, and she's sort of re-establishing things, and you're following her, and she's the character that you're kind of going along with. So this guy who's playing James Brooks, he was in, I don't think it was the previous season, I think it was season 4 of Supergirl. Played one of the villains in that. I think his name was Manchester Black or something like that. Was alright in that. I haven't really seen him in too much else, but he feels like a good fit for Star Trek at the moment. So yeah, relatively good start to the season. We'll see how many episodes, like I said, it takes to get to the Discovery and how long it takes to sort of find it. Of course, this season we don't have Pike and Spock and Number One because they're back on their own ship, or they're on a different ship now, aren't they? So because that's obviously been set up for, I can't remember the name of it, but the new spin-off, so we won't be seeing them this season. Kind of like the little reference to in this episode when Michael gets kind of drugged and she says, "Oh, don't give that to my redhead friend," obviously a reference to Tilly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going and seeing the other characters once we catch up with them. I'm kind of wondering as well, because one thing that you could do to help the pacing this season is, so we just had a big Michael episode and Brooks and whatever the other guy's name is, I don't recall his name being mentioned, but we're introduced to them. You've kind of got this little assembly of a team of sorts. I wonder if, let's say they want to drag out the reunion a little bit more. One thing that could kind of help is if, okay, next week if we go to the Discovery and see where that's kind of ended up.
Hey there, I'm Aaron Holman, host of Eye to Eye, a weekly podcast talk show all about passion.
I have this passion and this fire within me that burns brighter than the fire around me.
Flow.
With performing, there's always a story to tell, whether it's my own or not.
And creativity.
I go, he's more than cute, he's creative.
All with an LGBT twist. Make sure to check out Eye to Eye, that's EYE, number 2, letter I. And rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in today.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are Killer Fun. We explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week.
For as long as people have been communicating, they have been talking about who did what to whom, and is that socially acceptable?
Because the boundaries of society,
crime,
and entertainment have always gone hand in hand.
The more salacious,
or weird,
the better. From books and movies
to television shows and games,
we look at how life and art imitate and inform one another.
And we can't get together and not laugh. So let's face it, there's going to be laughing.
Killer Fun is available anywhere you listen to podcasts, so join us.
If you'd like to get started with a domain name and a website today, just click on the link in the show notes and that will take you over to Kualu to get started. They also have a live support chat system that you can use, which is in the bottom right hand corner. So get started with a new website and domain name today with Kualu. Hey everybody, if you would like to get the ad-free versions of all of our podcasts and support Entertainment Talk along the way, all you need to do is head over to patreon.com/entertainment talk. Sign up either as a creator or as a Patreon, there's no difference there. That's just the option for either becoming a creator now or just staying as a patron for the moment. And then all you need to do is support us at the $1 level tier. That will get you access to all of the ad-free podcasts that we've done in the past, and get you access to all the ad-free podcasts in that month as well. So it's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also become a patron at the $3 level tier. That gets you access to ad-free podcasts and allows you to redeem a review of a TV show or a film of entirely your choice. That's one per month for either a TV show or a film review, which is at the $3 level tier. As always, thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. Yeah, if we go to the Discovery next, see where that's kind of ended up, and you could break the season up a little bit. So instead of having like another Michael episode and she's looking for the ship again, and then you spend more time with her again, and then whatever, I think it could do an interesting thing to sort of change things up a bit. If they want to delay that reunion a little bit more and tell some other story in the meantime, one other thing that we could do is just see the perspective of what's happened to the other Discovery crew and where they are, and kind of catch up with them sort of separately. Because the way that I sort of don't want this to go is, okay, if you do a Michael episode next, and then you do another Michael episode, although I don't think they'll go 2 or 3 episodes without showing the rest of the Discovery characters, like the rest of the crew. The one thing I don't really want, I don't think would work well pacing wise or sort of structure wise, is if you had the reunion next week, like the end, let's say they spend next episode searching for the ship, and then they find it at the end of the second episode, and then the third episode goes backwards a little bit to show what the Discovery's been doing. I don't know if that will work particularly well. So they've got to sort of figure out how they're going to do that, because you've got these two kind of separate stories that have happened at different times, and they've got to find a way to connect them together. So we'll see how that kind of works out. But yeah, because yeah, it's different with Spock, because at the moment, I mean, I'm assuming that the Discovery is looking for Michael, because when we were doing what we did in season 2, looking for Spock, it was the whole crew looking for one character, so you had more going on, whereas we didn't have Spock looking for the crew for 2 or 3 episodes and just focused on one character. So we'll see how it all works out in the coming weeks, or maybe next week or whatever. What else do I need to talk about for this episode? I don't know, not too much particularly happened. They sort of talked about Michael had to convince Brooks that she was lost and who they were, and they had to trust each other, and you have the phaser knife scene at the start of the episode, I guess. That was quite good. Not too much to say for these enemies. They were just sort of red shirts for our characters to sort of take out. 3 of them actually teleport away. I don't really think that they'll be back. I don't think you need to bring them back, although they could come back, I guess. So we'll see how that works out as well. But no, I thought this was a good kind of stage setter for the season. So yeah, yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I know it's kind of a short podcast, but I don't want to drag it out for half an hour and not really have too much to say, I guess. But yeah, interesting bottle episode. It's funny that I'm not going to spoil which show it was, just in case some of you aren't caught up. But another show that I podcast on this week had a season premiere as a bottle episode. It's a risky thing to kind of do, but I think that this bottle episode worked better than the other show that I'm covering at the moment. So we'll see. But anyway, what do you guys think of this season premiere? Do you think that they paced it well? How many episodes do you think it'll take to find a reunion? Do you think that before the reunion happens, we'll see what the Discovery's been up to? Do you think that backstory part will happen after the reunion, which I think is the worse option? What do you think of the new Brooks character? Do you recognise him from Supergirl or from something else? I think I saw him for the first time in Supergirl. I don't recall seeing him in anything else. So yeah, let me know what you think of the season premiere. Matthew at entertainmenttalk.org, Twitter eTalkUK. There's a contact page and information in your show notes. So that's really all I've got. To be honest, not too much going on here necessarily. I guess when we see more characters into the show and I have more things I can talk about, then yeah, I'll have more things to talk about, I guess. So, but good start, good table setter for the season, and we'll see how they structure things and pace things going forward. They got a few different options. They just got to pick the right one. So we shall see. But in the meantime, you can find everything that we do on entertainmenttalk.org. If you want to support the podcast and Entertainment Talk, we are on Patreon. You can have a look at the $1 and $3 level tiers for instant ad-free podcast and review options. Amazon affiliate link: if you want to shop on Amazon, we can get a small cut of what you spend. It won't cost you extra. iTunes feeds, please rate, review, subscribe to those. Just search for Entertainment Talk on your favourite podcast platform, and you can either subscribe to the individual feeds or the main Entertainment Talk feed. You can also find Geektown on iTunes as well for all your up-to-date reliable TV and film news. Geektown Radio is on Tuesdays. You can also head over to geektown.co.uk for all of that information as well. Bex is streaming daily at the moment over on Twitch. If you search for Tristabytes, that's Trista, B-Y-T-E-S, yeah, Tristabytes. Go and search for her over there on Twitch. Follow her, subscribe to her, check out all that fun stuff as well. That's pretty much that. Word of mouth, you can tell people that you know about the website, iTunes feeds, Geektown and Tristabytes on Bex on Twitch and all that sort of stuff. Social media, you can do the same thing but through social media. Share the links on Facebook, Twitter, different Facebook groups if you can. And look out for Let's Play Sundays. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll see you next week for... the next episode is called Far From Home, and not... because this episode is called That Hope Is You Part 1, and it doesn't list the Part 2 anytime soon, so I don't know what's going on, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.